to another edition of LIMRA Unplugged. I'm here with Jafor Iqbal, Assistant Vice President of the Secure Retirement Institute, and we're going to be talking today about retirement trends. So the Secure Retirement Institute recently published the Retirement Income Reference Book, which is published once every few years and is a large compendium of information about the retirement market, trends, demographics, and generally things that people should be aware of about the market. We know the market is huge and growing. 50 million people are currently retired in the U.S. That's about 16% of the population, I believe, and that number is going to increase to 72 million by the year 2035. So Jafor, what other things should we be aware of about the retirement market?
Retirement market is big and it is getting bigger. Alison, you have already mentioned one big trend, how number of retirees are rising in the United States. Let me share with you some other facts and numbers. Today, 10,000 Americans turn 65 every day. By 2022, 4 years from now, 11,000 Americans will be celebrating their 65th birthday each calendar day. The average age of retirement for Americans is creeping upwards. As health and longevity improved, more Americans are working longer. The average retirement age for men is 65 and women 63. We have also estimated that the retirement income market for products and solutions will grow from $18 trillion in 2016 to $32 trillion, almost double by 2026. Today, Social Security and pensions are the two largest sources of income for retirees. 2/3 of their income come from Social Security and pensions. However, with access to pensions diminishing fast, almost by half for each future generations, more future retirees will be forced to create their own pension-like guaranteed income from their own savings to sustain their lifetime. Those are some of the big trends in the retirement income market.
So it's a very big market and it's going to continue to grow. People are working longer because they're living longer and they have to take greater personal responsibility for their savings, it sounds like.
Absolutely. The responsibility is theirs.
And at the same time, there are other demographic changes going on. And I think historically, when we've heard about retirees, we've had images of two people walking on the beach, hand in hand, and I'm not sure that's entirely accurate. We know that Secure Retirement Institute research finds that almost half of workers retire before they expected, often for reasons beyond their control, and that there are greater segments like single-family households that are becoming more common and then have slightly different needs. What are some other segments that we should be paying attention to, and what are their needs?
Advisors and their firms must put together a solid plan and strategies to address the pre-retirees and the retirees and their different market segments. In terms of generations, the retirees and the baby boomers yet to retire own 83% of all investable assets, nearly $35 trillion. That is 4 out of every 5 investable dollars. In retirement, assets get very sticky. That is, assets do not move much from one institution to another. So the advisors and the firms who can engage the pre-retirees and the retirees just before or after the retirement, they would be getting most of the benefits. Another market often overlooked is the single retiree market that you mentioned. There are 7.6 million single pre-retiree and retiree households who are all age 55 and older and have at least $100,000 investable assets. In total, they own $6 trillion and majority of them are women.
So it sounds like in terms of assets, the future may belong to the millennials, but right now the money is with the boomers and the pre-retirees. And it also sounds like women as a market are going to be continuing to grow in increasing importance, and advisors who can provide a suite of products and services that help them develop that level of trust will reap the benefit in terms of loyalty and consolidation of assets. Well, I think it's important that you bring up strategies, because I know you've done research that shows the importance of a formal written plan and the impact that that can have. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. The retirement income plan, when done by an advisor, creates trust and value so that, well, the advisors can recommend additional products and services. Almost 70% of the pre-retirees and retirees who have completed a plan with their advisor buy additional investments and investments. Not only that, in fact, we call it a virtuous circle. One positive thing leads to another positive development. For example, with improved satisfaction, it leads to more trust in the advisor, and more trust leads to the lifetime loyalty, and it also kind of like helps consolidate more assets with the advisor. Let me share with you some of the numbers. In terms of satisfaction, 65% of pre-retirees and retirees who have done a plan with their advisors feel very satisfied with the advisor versus only less than 1/3 of the pre-retirees and retirees who didn't complete a plan. In terms of trust, 54% of clients who have completed a plan feel that advisors put clients' interest first versus less than a quarter who have not done a plan. In terms of loyalty, 52% of clients who have completed a plan feel that they would be working with their advisors for the rest of their life versus only 28%. But the big momentum comes in with the asset consolidation. We have seen that, well, 54% of the clients who have completed a plan consolidated almost 90% or more of their assets with their particular advisor versus only 34% of the clients who did not. That is the big gain for the advisors when they do a retirement income plan.
Yeah, I think so. Advisors have the benefit of getting loyalty, increased assets, but I don't think we can overlook the benefits to consumers and things like emotional needs in terms of confidence. So Secure Retirement Institute research has shown that people who work with an advisor and have a formal written plan are much more likely to be confident that they'll be able to live the retirement lifestyle that they want. And that finding, importantly, holds for whether or not you have a lot of assets. So it's just something that going through the process of a plan sort of naturally brings about because you're thinking about these issues. And I think having consumers who are more confident can benefit everybody. So let's talk now, or let's move to other things that have been changing. So retirees' sources of income and expectations. We know that in the past, retirees used to say Social Security and an employer-provided pension were the most likely sources of income. But that's been changing. Fewer people have access to a pension. And the majority of people now recognize or say that they believe it is their personal responsibility to save for retirement, which you can see reflected in the number of people who are now saving in defined contribution plans and IRAs. Zafor, what else are workers telling us about their expectations in retirement and the sources of income that they're expecting to have?
Retirement scene will be changing. Today, 70% of retirees say that, well, Social Security and pensions are the most important sources of income for them. But in future, pre-retirees, 40% of the pre-retirees are already saying that their own savings from 401k or 403b or IRAs and also their other personal savings will be the most important source. For younger generations, between, say, for example, workers between age 40 to 54, the number is much, much higher. More than half of those younger workers will be using the 401k and 403b or IRA or the other personal savings to finance their retirement.
Yeah, so they're really relying on different sources of income, and I believe only 1/3 of younger workers believe that they're going to have or rely on Social Security primarily. So Zafor, a lot of our conversation has focused on how demographics are changing, how needs are changing, and how advisors are rising to meet those challenges. What else do advisors need to do to be able to meet the future needs of their clients?
What we have seen in a study with EY, that with around 1,200 advisors, that the difference between different channels and different advisors are converging together, and they're kind of like the differences are becoming a blur. Let me give you some examples. For the investment-focused advisors, particularly who are RIAs and the independent broker-dealers or the working people working in the banks and the full national full-service broker-dealer houses, most of the time they are concentrated on investment planning and retirement income planning. But on the insurance-focused side, who are carrier agents and independent insurance agents, now they have also started to offer retirement income planning as well as portfolio planning. In fact, 75% of them offer retirement income planning as of today, and almost 60% of them offer investment planning today. On the other hand, insurance-focused advisors used to do a lot of risk management planning. Now, investment-focused advisors, again, started to kind of like catch up with them. They are not very far behind. So the convergence of the different advisors and their practice models and different channels are really happening, and the differences are becoming a blur.
And so consumers may not know exactly what type of advisor they're working with, and in some ways it may be less important because they're starting to offer a similar suite of services, which includes retirement income planning more so than in the past.
Yes. In another survey of 1,000 advisors, we have found out that the two most important training areas the advisors want are Social Security claiming strategies and Medicare and healthcare planning, which is very important for retirement income planning, which is a core component of the retirement income planning. Almost half of the advisors, irrespective of any channel, want to get trained on Social Security claiming strategies. Almost 40% of all advisors want to get trained in the healthcare or Medicare planning. The advisors of future will be very skilled in those particular areas, and advisors of tomorrow will separate themselves out in the marketplace. With these skills, they will gather more assets, they will get more referrals, and they will be helping the future retirees with all of those questions and challenges.
So then companies that can help advisors with their retirement planning tools and services or provide training on things like Social Security claiming strategies or Medicare are going to be really valuable partners.
Absolutely, and that is why we are always saying that, well, retirement income plan is always good for the consumers and the clients, and the companies need to have a retirement income plan or strategies.
So that concludes another edition of LIMRA Unplugged. On behalf of Jafor and myself, thank you for spending the time with us, and we urge you to go out and check out the Retirement Income Reference Book on LIMRA.com. Thank you.